Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share another scrapbook process video with you. Today I am introducing a brand new series called Challenge Me, Challenge You. Now this series I am doing in conjunction with my dear friend Gwen Wruck from Created by Gwen. And what we are doing is we are challenging one another to include something in our layouts. Now you can see there the two things that we are actually working with today. We're going to be working with that beautiful leaf edge cut file, which is what Gwen has challenged me with. And I have challenged Gwen to work with watercolor, because if you know anything about Gwen, Gwen likes very clean, neat scrapping, and I like mess, and I rarely work with cut files. And of course, Gwen has Cut to You as her own business. So Gwen's challenged me to work with her cut file, and I've challenged her to work with some watercolor. Now, seeing as this is the first video in our series, we thought we both might work with the same things. So we are both working with that leaf edge cut file, and we are both working with watercolor. So of course, for my watercolor, I chose to work with Distress Oxides for my page. I've got cracked pistachio and I've got peacock feathers there. And I'm using my tried and trusted messy matte method. Now, you would have seen I simply swipe my oxide ink pad on the mat, add a couple of little spritzes of water, swish it around with my fingertip, and then lay my cardstock over the top. Now, this gives you very little control over the placement of your colour and how it comes out looking, and that's just the way I like it. I like very much fly by the seat of your pants, and whatever will be, and then you just deal with it and you create your layout based on what you get on your background. So there you have it. There's my two colours laid together. So I did the peacock feathers first, and then I let it dry off for a little bit before I did the same thing with the cracked pistachio. And I've layered the cracked pistachio over the top, and you can see it's given me that gorgeous blue-green colour palette there. Now, I'm adding some stamping over the top of that. I'm using that brick texture stamp there, which is from Viva Las VegaStamps, and I'm using some black Stays-On ink. Now, the reason I have chosen this brick stamp is because of the photo that I'm scrapping today. It's a photo of my daughter that I took a few days ago, and so it's a very new photo. She was in front of a brick wall that had some painted graffiti on it. It was very cool. So I decided to carry through the texture of the bricks from the photo into my background. Now, along with the cut file and the Distress Oxides and the stamping that I've got going on, I'm also going to be working with products from Vicki Boutin. So I've got a whole mix of bits and pieces from different collections. I've got papers from Colour Kaleidoscope, I think Storyteller. I've also got embellishments from Colour Kaleidoscope. I may have something from Let's Wander. I don't know. It's a whole mix of stuff that I've got coming up, so you'll see as we go along. So I've chosen that background piece of paper there simply because of the colours of it. It has have a floral pattern on it, and it does have leaves on it, which I thought tied in really well with the leaf edge cut file that I'm going to be working with. So I cut the guts out of that paper, and I just layered my background that I had done over the top of that, just so that it created a bit of a frame. I've also got a scrap of a navy blue paper that I've used to mat my photo. Okay, so here is what I have done with these cut files. Now, I actually cut these twice. So I did cut some of the standard file, which is exactly the way it comes when you purchase it from Gwen's store. And I'll put the link to where you can get this file in the description down below. So I've cut it on plain white cardstock. I think that's American Crafts cardstock, so it's not too heavyweight. But I have also cut out just a solid outline of it as well on one of the Vicki Boutin pattern papers. And you can see that paper there with the blue on it. I've chosen that because it's got a watercolor pattern, which I thought tied in very well with the challenge theme. So I looked at those against the background, and there just wasn't as much contrast as I would have liked, and I would have liked a bit more definition, so I should have actually rethought my background colour there just to something a little bit more contrasting, but it all worked out fine in the end. So what I've done with those solid pieces, those cut files there, I just grabbed my ultrafine Sharpie and I've added some doodling, just some doodle definition, just to draw in the shapes of the leaves, just like you would see on the open file on the left side there with the cardstock. I've just drawn in the detail with a Sharpie. So I'm starting by layering those over that watercolor background. I'm just finding a way to arrange them because I sort of wanted them spilling out from behind where the photo was going to be placed. And yeah, just creating a really interesting initial layer to go down on top of that watercolor. So yeah, I fiddled around with that for a little bit. I found where I wanted them to be placed. Because I had them sort of radiating out from the center like that, the straight edges were all hidden underneath the photo mat in the center there. So you weren't going to see any of that straight line there anyway. So what I did was I grabbed my long arm stapler, you can see, and I've just added multiple staples to secure it in place. You won't see any of those staples on the finished product, so there was no issue with using that at all. Now, as usual, I usually use a coloured paper doily, and I decided to stay with sort of the blue-green theme that I had going on. And I've chosen that light aqua coloured one that just had some little white polka dots on it. And I've placed it under the top right corner, because you can see in the photo that she is looking away to the left. So I wanted it to frame in around behind her head and behind her back, because I wanted to keep that left side open where she's looking out of the photo. Now, that's the reason I have also weighted this page more over to the right-hand side, because she is looking away to the left there. So again, I pulled out, once I'd figured out where I was going to have my doily, and I had also then layered in those open cut files using the white cardstock over the top. Now, I didn't want those, even though they were cut to size to fit the other ones, I didn't want them to sit exactly over where the other ones were sitting. I didn't want them to line up with each other. I wanted them to sit slightly off center so that it gave multiple layers to this page. Now, you can see on the right-hand side there that I've actually cut off that little pairing of leaves from most of the cut files that I placed down on the background. And now I'm just looking to tuck in a couple of extras of those just to add another layer again. I was looking for a very layered background on this. Now, this is probably not the way that most of you use cut files, and I don't tend to use cut files a lot. But when I do use them, I tend to use them like this rather than, say, creating a large title or a background that gets backed in paper. I really like the openness of not backing the files and the delicate sort of layers that they add to a page. So this is the way that I like to use them. Now, most definitely this file would look fantastic if you did back it. And if you have the patience to do that, then well done you. I don't, so this is the way that I tend to use cut files on my pages. So I was fairly happy with where all of those leaves were sitting on my page. I had my doily. I'd also added some frayed gauze for texture over the top of that, and then I'd stuck my photo down on top. Now I was looking at adding some embellishments, so I did pull out, I think that is the Colour Study chipboard stickers that I've got there. And I grabbed one of the little border strips there and cut a couple of pieces to it and stuck them either side like that, because I really wanted to anchor this photo down on my page. And I like the way that it had that black stripe at the top of that scalloped edge, and it just anchored it all to the page. Okay, I've got a little phrase sticker here that's like a little paint stripe that says loving life. So I've stuck that on the bottom corner of the photo. And you can see on the left-hand side there, I've added a chipboard title piece that says crazy good. Now, one of the reasons that I did stick those border strips at differing heights was I wanted the one on the right to sort of run into the center of the photo there, because I was planning on adding an arrow to it, which I'm just doing now. But the one on the left-hand side, I wanted it to be an anchor point for the title. I didn't want the title just sort of floating off in space. And adding that there with that black stripe underneath it just sort of underlined the title and just brought it all together. Now, I did pull out various die cuts from different Vicki Boutin ephemera packs here. I pulled out some bits and pieces that I thought might work on the page. I had no idea what I was going to use until I started doing this and sort of, as Gwen calls it herself, auditioning the pieces. I did use a couple of leafy pieces to stay with that leafy theme that I had going on. I also had a die cut heart. I added some phrase stickers, and you can see that black and white sticker sheet that I am working with there. It was actually a very old pack of Vicki Boutin. They're all black and white stickers, and you're able to colour them yourself. But the reason I like them is when I'm looking for black and white embellishments, I really do like to leave them black and white. So I just added a few little flowers just in that visual triangle. You can see there's one at the top, one on the right hand side, and one on the left hand side. That heart that went in above the photo there, I've just stuck the middle of it and folded the sides up. I've got a small butterfly sticker that I stuck onto the corner of the photo, and I have stamped the date at the bottom of the photo there. Now, I did finish this page off with a larger embellishment. You can see that butterfly there. I had another one out to work with, but it did have some red on it as well, and I didn't want the red coming to the front of the page. So I decided this one with the more neutral tones would work a lot better. So you can see that stuck down under the photo there. Now, I did want to add a little bit of sparkle to lift this page, and I've been using up a few random embellishments out of my stash lately, and I found this little resin heart that had these glittery pieces on the top of it, and I thought that would work really well just sitting underneath the title. But I needed to tie in the sparkle with another element on the page, so I found these blue sequins in my stash, and I thought they would help lift the page really nicely. So I adhered those down just using my Scotch Tacky Glue in my fine line pen, and I'm actually picking them up with a wax nail art pencil. So if you don't have one of those, just get on eBay and grab yourself one of those. They are great for picking up sequins and moving them around. Besides that, my finishing touch was just some splatters of ink. I used black ink and a nylon brush just to add splatters around the page. Now, I'll just let you know where we are headed with this challenge. We intend on challenging each other like this every month. So if you have any suggestions of things that you would like to see me challenge Gwen with, by all means, add them in the comments below. Or even if you have a challenge for me as well, that's fine. Put it in the comments below. And every month we hope to push each other out of our comfort zone a little bit and keep this series going and possibly get some more people involved as well. So if you have any questions, comments, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, yada yada, you know the story. Thanks so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.